This is my 1990 Gazelle 3-speed bicycle. It has a Sturmy Archer internal gear hub with a drum brake. When I inherited this bicycle, none of the gears were working. I took the hub apart and cleaned the nasty and rusty insides. Then I put it all back together with some fresh lithium grease. And after that, first and second gear were working again, but not the third gear. And I needed to move the shifter to the third gear position in order to get second gear. The first gear was working normally in the expected position. And when I disconnected the shifting cable to make the hub default into third gear, that did not work. Although the shifting pin did go in more than far enough. So after watching a lot of YouTube videos, I now think the problem is with the pawls inside the ring gear. Perhaps the hub is still too dirty on the inside, but more likely I probably used too much thick grease. So I got the bicycle leaning against the barn doors at an angle, and now I'm going to remove the shifting pin, and then I will squirt in some WD40, and at this angle I'm hoping the WD40 will not run into the drum brake. Already some black and sticky grease. It's also rather dirty. Here we go. And I'm hoping this will soften up the grease a bit. And knowing myself, I probably used way too much grease. There's not a lot of WD-40 left in this can. And I'm hoping that at some point the third gear will come back. Although, to be honest, in this part of the world, the north of the Netherlands, you don't really need third gear. Because the world is rather flat around here. Well, I will repeat this procedure a couple of times and then take the bicycle out for a test ride, and well, keep doing this for about a week, and if I don't have any success, cable is a bit oh, it's bent. Maybe not sure if that is going to be a problem. If I don't have any success, I will replace the rear wheel, because I got one ready to go, and that one does have a working 3-speed hub. Looks like some of the WD-40 that I squirted in is already coming out. So I guess the drum brake will not do a whole lot of braking anymore. So I changed the angle of the bicycle a bit, and now I'm squirting it a bit more WD-40. And tomorrow I will take the bicycle riding again without the shifting cable attached, and well, hopefully at some point third gear will magically reappear. We'll see. Why wait till tomorrow for some testing? The shifter is in first gear position. Sounds like the chain is a bit loose, but it really needs a new drivetrain. Okay, I'm shifting to second position. It still sounds and feels pretty much the same. Now I'm moving to the third gear position. And now I can hear some of the pawls making a clicking sound. And to be honest, pedaling does feel a little bit heavier. Although bench testing a Sturmy Archer drive is kind of hard. Moving back to the second gear position. It feels different. And now I'm moving to the first gear position. Feels pretty much the same as second gear, but maybe the cable hasn't been adjusted properly. Well, I will let this soak overnight and tomorrow I'll go for a test ride. Well, I couldn't wait till it was light for a test ride. After all, I did install that battery operated light. And the wheel is currently in third gear. And you can hear the balls being overrun by the hub shell. Not a sound I was familiar to, because well, third gear wasn't working. There's a bit of a stiff spot in this little chain, and that is causing shifting difficulties, but I was able to use all three gears. This is second gear, and you can actually feel this when turning the pedals. And now I'm moving to first gear. That, yeah, it is lighter and it also sounds different. Although at the moment shifting back from third to second sometimes doesn't work because of the well, the stiffness in this chain. It's a bit damaged. So that's something I need to look at. Maybe I can bend it a little. Use a hammer that usually fixes things. So yeah, I'm happy with this result. Happy that I didn't make a mistake when reassembling the hub. As well, basically this thing is just as easy as Legos. Technical Legos, but nothing more difficult. It is a bit confusing, but I am still going to replace the rear wheel because now the drum brake isn't doing anything anymore. Not that you need a whole lot of brakes in this flat country, but they are nice to have. So tonight I took a little test ride, shifting more than I used to do on my mountain bike. And to be honest, it wasn't perfect. It felt like sometimes the pawls were still sticking. Shifting got delayed. And the fact that the little chain has been damaged also didn't help. It is just not returning into the same spot every time you switch gears. And the shifting indicator is at a different location when you go from first gear to second than when you go from third gear to second. I tried to loosen up the chain, but that really didn't work. So I guess that will just have to be replaced. And I think it will take a bit more time to completely free up all of those pawls. Okay, next I will put the bicycle on the side and let the WD40 drain out. While the bicycle is on its side, for a few minutes now, but as you can see, or not see, because there's not a drop of WD40 coming out, and that kind of surprised me. I was expecting a lot. So where did all of that WD40 go? Some of it definitely ended up inside the drum brake, because there isn't a whole lot of stopping power at the moment. No brakes. Ah. If I wasn't living in a totally flat country, it might have been somewhat dangerous. So I will definitely have to take this drum brake apart, and that's no problem because I was planning to replace the wheel anyway. But that is something that will have to wait till another video. This one is more than long enough. Okay, if you actually made it to the end of this one, thanks for watching. Until the next time. To be continued. I think this wheel is dragging a bit. Looks like it also has a broken spoke. Another good reason to replace this wheel. Good morning. Feels like we're finally getting some of that Canadian heat. So yesterday I squirted in a bit more WD40, and I just took another test ride, and it was good. So this morning I threaded in the indicator pin maybe 3 full turns, and that will have changed the position of the chain against the nut, and I might also have flipped the chain so it's rubbing against the other side. And at the moment the shifting is reliable. It is returning to the same position every time, if I go through the first gear or through the third gear. It was very reliable when I took my test ride this morning. The brakes have also improved slightly, but they are still shit, but good enough not to be considered unsafe in this flat country. But at some point I will take the drum brake apart and clean things out, because by now there will not be a whole lot grease inside the bearings, and that is perhaps something to be worried about. Alright, I think I will continue my test riding this bicycle, and in a week or so I will flip out the rear wheel, because I need to fix this broken spoke.